Okay, hi guys, welcome back. I'm going to do a video today about decks that I have most used in 2019. And this could possibly be a two-parter. I know I say that so many times, but it could be. So we'll see. Because I've yet to get a camera that allows me to download or upload or whatever you call it, longer videos onto YouTube. So I have to sort that out. I'm just too lazy at the moment. So I'm going to start with decks that I've used in 2019. And I've used a lot of my decks over 2019, but these were the ones that I just gravitated towards more than any other. Some kind of surprised me a bit because I hadn't used them in a while, but they made their presence felt, shall we say, over 2019. So I'm going to get stuck in. Okay, so the very first one that I did, or that I worked with, was the Minigello Tarot. No, it's a Marseille deck. And I usually don't work with Marseille. I usually work with, the Rider-Waite-Smith style decks. But this one really stood out for me this year. It's a beautiful deck. That's the front of the box. It's gorgeous, real sturdy box. These are hand cut, so the paper can often look a little bit cut unevenly or whatever, but that adds to the beauty of the deck. That's the back of it there. Now they're beautiful, they're really, really nice, but this reads like a dream. And I've really fallen in love with Marseille decks over the last year. It's a system that's so much, personally I find it quicker and sharper than the Rider-Waite-Smith, even though I love the Rider-Waite-Smith, of course I do. But I find when you want something that's very straight to the point, a Marseille deck is just fantastic, like for yes/no readings, 3-card spreads, that kind of thing. As you can see, the colours are gorgeous in this. But it's so stunning. And these are hand cut, so as I said, they haven't got very even edges, but that's the beauty of it. So that's the first one. That really surprised me this year. I didn't expect to fall in love with the Marseille style deck the way that I did with this one. I only have one other Marseille style deck, and that is the Marshmallow Tarot. Marshmallow Marseille, I think it's called. And that's a beautiful little deck as well, and I do use that, but this one just tended to work with me an awful lot better this year for some reason. The next deck isn't a tarot deck. It is, I've spoken about this deck so many times and I adore it. I just adore this deck. I'm actually using it at the moment. I have it out all the time. It never goes into its box, but there is the box for reference. It's the Living Wheel Astrology cards. If you are learning astrology, if you work with astrology, that's the card I have out at the moment. This deck is a must-have. It is so stunningly beautiful. It goes through, I think I have a video on this. It has everything. It has the houses, it has the planets, it has the signs, it has the seasons. It's beautiful. I'll actually get you some of the seasons here. Like, look at this. Isn't that stunning? It's just fantastic, and it's so well made. So much love and care and attention went into this deck that it's insane. Even the quality of the cards. That's the back of the card, and this can be worked in so many ways, as like an oracle. These are the houses. As like an oracle deck, one of the constellations, and as above, so below. reading style if you want. It pairs beautifully with tarot and other oracle decks as well. So it's a must-have if you're at all into astrology, or if you're learning astrology, because it's a great tool for to help you along with learning astrology. Now, another deck that I will always love, this deck is never going to leave me as far as I'm concerned, because it's an absolute beauty, and that is the Deviant Moon. This I've worked with so much this year. That's the box that comes in just an ordinary talk box. I worked so much with this year, and look at the colours. Good Lord. It looks very, very dark, and it can be dark. I'm not saying that it isn't, but it is. The readings that you get from it are just fantastic. It's also lovely. It's so vivid that to keep a card out if you want to. It's just amazing. Everything about this deck is so beautiful. There are the backs. Everything about this deck is stunning. There's no getting away from it. The death card always creeps people out. I think it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I adore it. I absolutely adore it. So that's the Deviant Moon Tarot. It's by Patrick Valenza. He has a lot of other decks, and I'm contemplating one of them in particular. It's an oracle deck, but that might be for next year. I think I'm done with purchasing decks this year. There is another deck that I really gravitated towards this year as well. I talked about it earlier in the year actually, and this deck really surprised me as well, because the artwork is not, it's not what I would normally go for, but this deck really, really helped me during the summer in particular. It's the Medicine Woman Tarot. Now, as I said, I wouldn't be particularly, the artwork isn't, well, there's something about it I like. It's not spectacular, but this deck is just gorgeous. It's like a warm hug. This deck is, and the book that goes along with it is a necessity. You really have to have the book, because it's just so well written. It's like another book, The Tower of the Vampires. The book of that is fantastic. There's lots of people out there that will say the same thing, that it's one of those books that you should just have even if you never use the deck. The book of this is the exact same, but I would say the deck is fantastic as well. And I love this deck. I absolutely love it. I don't have the box, I'm sorry. I have a little bag for it, and I keep some little chakra stones in here, but this deck is very special to me. Yeah, I just love it. It's still readily available, but it is an old deck. It's been out for quite a long time, so but it is readily available, and the book is readily available as well. Another deck that I've used really a lot this year is of needs no introduction. Come on. It's the Wild Unknown Tarot. She recently brought out the Wild Unknown Archetypes, which I also purchased, which is a beautiful deck, but I wasn't going to include that here because obviously this is for 2019 and I haven't used it as much. But this deck is, it's stunning. I've never heard anything negative about this deck because this reads like a charm. It's stunning. The colours in it, everything about it is just amazing. They're the backs. And I would highly recommend this deck. That's the box. The box is amazing as well. That's definitely one to go for if you're thinking about purchasing a tarot deck. Any of these actually that I show you here. Oh, this one. This is my love. Oh my God, I love this deck. Again, everything about this deck is beautiful. And I've said this before, initially when I got this deck, when I decided to get this deck, I thought, I'm really not going to like the artwork on this. but I actually ended up loving it, and it's just not necessarily my style, but that's Star Child Tarot. And this is the bordered edition. I have two. I have the other edition of this deck as well that's borderless. And like everybody else, I love my borderless decks. But for some reason, I love the bordered version of this deck. It's fantastic. The book is brilliant. The cardstock, everything about it is just, it's just so well made. I also have the Moonchild Tarot, but I didn't use the Moonchild Tarot as much as I used this one this year. These are the backs, and this the side. It's gilded in this beautiful matte gold. They're quite big cards. They're chunky enough. Another deck that I would highly recommend. It's beautiful. It's expensive enough, but it is one of those decks that you'll have for a lifetime, and it's worth the effort. Let me just think now. I went through all of those, didn't I? Yeah, I have a couple of more decks that I need to run through. Yeah, I think out of those, I think the one I probably would have used the most of finding this, I would probably have been the Living Will Astrology, because I have this out all the time. I don't take it down because from my workspace, because I'm studying heavily into astrology at the minute, so this deck is just out all the time. I don't put it away. I think this is probably the first time it's been in its box for months, and it's going to go straight out of its box when I head upstairs after this. The other one was probably the Medicine Woman. I've used that, and I use that an awful lot. But as I said, the rest of them I just I've really used as well as I mean, every day I've had them out all the time, and they're the decks that I've now I have another couple that I'm going to go through with you, but I'm going to end this video now because I can see that the time is starting to run out, and I will be able to use my words in the next video, I promise you. So come back and join me, okay?